Welcome back to the side table, everyone. We're your hosts, Patrick the King and Joshua the Newland.
This is episode 31.
It is episode 31. How have you been, Joshua?
I've been doing all right. Did, a little bit of socializing in safe groups of, 10 or less this weekend outdoors.
How was that?
It was all right. My family, including Caleb and Caitlin, had come over Friday night.
Ooh.
So they had brought pizza, and we were just kind of hanging out in the backyard playing badminton.
Hell yeah.
And then on Saturday, we were over at my in-laws for what ended up being eight hours, which was a little bit too long, but it was, it was still good to get out and socialize with people.
Oh yeah, 8 hours is that's a lot of time to socialize.
It really is. I was exhausted after that.
I would be as well.
Oh my gosh, though. My drive home on Friday though.
Yeah.
Usually it's about an hour drive, and that's it. This drive took me 2 hours to get home.
Oh, I know how that feels. Why? Why was it so bad?
Well, so I'm coming north on the highway there.
Yeah.
And Ashley had called me right when I got on the highway, and she's like, yeah, it's pretty backed up, in between kind of Cedar Springs area.
She's being a good wingman, letting you know.
Right.
Mentally.
So I'm like, okay, this is going to be rough. And so I kind of get to the Rockford area and then the Cedar Springs, and, we're going like 15 on the highway.
Oh, wow. Did you, when she told you after you hung up, did you think it was going to be as bad, or did you think it was going to be awful?
I knew it was going to be a little rough because it was rough the day before, but I was able to kind of take the back way home because I stopped at the dealership to pick up my actual plates for my car.
Oh.
So I was able to take Northland Drive home without going way out of my way.
Uh-huh.
And I had passed under the highway in spots and saw it was pretty slow. So I knew it wasn't going to be great. But I passed the Rockford exit, and I'm like, all right, it's starting to get pretty bad. I'll hop off at the next exit and try to come over to Northland Drive. No big.
Uh-huh.
So before Cedar Springs is the Sparta exit. And I was thinking I could just get off there, no worries. But the right-hand lane on the highway was at a dead stop, backed up for hundreds of feet with people just trying to exit there.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, okay, well, the highway's moving faster than that, so I'll just stay on the highway for a while.
Uh-huh.
And about, 5 or 10 minutes later, I make it 3 miles down the road to the Cedar Springs exit.
Uh-huh.
And at this point, I'm kind of low on gas, and I knew I needed to stop on my way home anyway. So I'm like, all right, I'll just get off here at Cedar Springs and get gas, take Northland home, and stuff will be good.
Uh-huh.
So I finally get off the exit there. It wasn't as bad as Sparta's, but it was still slow. And I get my gas. I start heading over to Northland Drive there, and it's a little backed up because everybody's taking that way, but not too bad.
Yep.
And a couple miles down the road on Cedar Springs, it starts getting really backed up, and we're at like a dead stop.
Like in Cedar Springs itself, or?
Yeah, in Cedar Springs and even a little after.
Why?
Well, and then while we're sitting there, a first responder comes by us, so, we all pull off to the side.
Yep.
And then a fire truck comes by, and an ambulance, and another first responder. And I didn't get to see much of the accident, but there was a pretty nasty accident up at an intersection ahead.
That sucks. Oh, yeah. That's awful.
There was at least 2 or 3 cars involved, and one of them was just totaled. Every single airbag in the car was deployed.
Jesus.
So I'm not really sure what happened with that. I haven't been following the news lately, but yeah, I got home at 6:45 instead of 5:45.
Oh my God.
But
That's
aside
awful.
from that, it's been a solid weekend. I actually we had the neighbors who moved across from us right before COVID hit, kind of February, March. And their oldest kid has graduated this year, And so she popped over quick today to give us an invitation. They're doing an open house next weekend.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we'll probably pop over for a little bit.
And be like, we don't know you.
Right? Like,
No,
I haven't
let's-
introduced myself to any of our neighbors just because I don't know.
Don't want to.
I'm not used to, like, living in an
Popular
area, right, where you have lots of close neighbors. But yeah, I'll pop over and say hi.
Well, that's good. For anyone who can hear, I'm trying to depill my jacket while we do this because I've noticed that I pay attention more when I'm doing something and stay focused. And plus, I want to get this done before I go on vacation. But I hate.
Are you for sure going?
Yeah, so that's been a whole thing.
Yeah.
To make it short, I'm not going to go into details. Joshua knows the deets, so that's all that matters. I ended up just straight up emailing my boss. I'm like, am I even like considered for the list to return in the first wave? And she said, you might want to just maybe sit this one out and try to get unemployment. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So
super.
Yeah. Thank you. But I got an answer though. Instead of like all last week, it was a whole.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, what to do. Do I go early and then, have Sarah has to fix everything with work. We have to make all these phone calls to change things. If we went this upcoming week, instead of the week after, which we will be doing the week of the 22nd, everyone would be at the cabin. And I think I might have told you this. I don't know. Everyone would be at the cabin. For those of you who don't know, my vacation is at a very secluded spot in the UP, which is already secluded enough. And there's going to be everyone there, like my grandpa and like my uncle and that. So there won't be a place for Sarah and I to sleep except on an air mattress the whole week. If we went,
that is miserable.
It's miserable. And I was telling my mom, I'm like, yeah, I want to see my grandpa and my uncle, but I am tired of. I'm just exhausted, just overall from everything, and I want to be off during vacation. I don't want to be on, because even though they're like, my family and that, you still, like you yesterday, you have to be on for how long, and I'm going to have to be on for the whole week if that's the case, if I went this upcoming week instead, and that would have been awful, because I wouldn't have been able to relax. I would have been trying to get my other family members to relax, because they're up here visiting, so I would take on some weird host mindset, and that'd be awful. That would not be fun.
You can't decompress like that and relax.
No, you can't, and which is unfortunate. But I made that clear to both parents because they're like, "Oh, you can come up," blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, "No, no, I can't." My mom understands more. My dad's more of a people guy.
Yes, very much.
So he doesn't understand it. But he's like, I mean, he doesn't understand it, but he's aware that it would be miserable if it would just be. And that's not, and I'm not saying being around my family is awful, but being around a lot of family for anyone in general at once is not, it's a lot at once, especially when you're not mentally prepared for it. That's the big thing.
Yeah, if you can kind of mentally prepare yourself for it and you're already a little bit relaxed, then it's not so bad, but
yeah, so my past week has been quite stressful, but hopefully it's going to be coming to an end.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm almost done with this. So I'm using I was looking ways to depill jackets.
Are you doing like nail clippers?
No, I was like, what if I used a razor?
Oh, that would work. Yeah.
And I'm, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but it looks a hell of a lot better than it did like 20 minutes ago. For those of you who don't know what pilling is, it's when your jacket just like forces little lint shit out of itself. It starts oozing.
Yeah, it seems to come about either with cheaper materials or materials that are older and just have been, worn and washed a lot.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. Like, it's just upsetting. Because you can have like this really nice. Like, my mom just gave me this jacket. Granted, it's one of her older ones, like you just said. And it was totally fine, but then I was like, I should probably wash this before I go on the UP. And I did.
All
and
the pills.
When I took it out of the washer, I was just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Because the week earlier, my grandpa gave me
That red sweater.
red jacket and dyed my whole load red.
You're just having great luck with washing clothes.
I hate laundry. It's awful. Laundry and the dishwasher. Two things that just are such a bitch to do. Anyway, I think it's good enough. I think I did the jacket justice. I think it'll be fine. I do have little pill remnants now all over my shirt, which is,
Which you'll now be vacuuming up for the next week.
Fantastic. And I just vacuumed, so, Other news, nothing, not much. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't care anymore. I'm over it. Anyway, our topic for today, Joshua, unless you had anything else to discuss.
Not really, no.
Our topic for today, and I thought of this because of, I guess, what's going on in the world, so I guess I was thinking about what's going on in the world, is high school. The reason I thought of it was because, I don't know the main reason, but I have been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube. Haven't watched any, but it's a lot of people, talking to the class of 2020 because they can't graduate or what have you.
In the same formal celebratory fashion.
Yeah. And so that made me think of high school and that. And I thought we could share some high school moments in our life, from our life. So let's start. What is the most specific memory, I guess, you can remember from high school?
Most specific memory? I don't know. Reflecting on high school isn't something I do ever.
Neither do I.
Because it was all right. You have the people who say high school is going to be some of your best years. They were not.
Nope.
And it's not like I was, completely socially outcast or bullied. It just wasn't super enjoyable or challenging, and my social life involved hanging out with Patrick.
I guess that's true, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, we did sports for about a year or two.
We sported for 2 years, man.
Yeah, we sported for 2 years. We did soccer. I can't remember. I don't think I ever did track and field or cross country in high school. I think I only did that in middle school.
I did cross country, I think, in middle school for a stint. I do remember skipping a cross country practice once and just walking back to Brookside, and that caused a whole thing. Like, somehow people were calling the Brookside secretary
just because
you
weren't there.
And it was nuts. And I was like, this all over me not going to practice once. And I remember that. I don't remember what happened afterwards, but yeah, sorry to interrupt. That just popped in my head.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I don't. Well, freshman year of high school, as part of the choir group, we did go to New York for a few days on a trip. That was kind of fun, and Ashley was there for that.
Oh, that's right.
Man, that was so long ago now. That was like 13 years ago.
Are you serious?
For serious.
13 years ago? Nah, really?
Yeah, I was talking with some coworkers who were younger than me, and somehow, graduating high school had come up, and I mentioned, yeah. Oh no, we were talking about foreign language and learning foreign languages, and I'm like, yeah, I took a few years of Spanish in high school about a decade ago. They're like, what? How old are you?
How old are they?
A couple of them are about 21, 22.
Oh, wow. Now, see, this is now when we start to see the age gap.
A little bit. Thankfully, there are a few people who are a little bit older than me or closer to my age, so I don't, I'm right in the middle, so it's great.
Oh, it's always nuts when you're talking to, or you see someone, or you strike up a conversation with some rando somewhere. An age comes up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm 19," and you're like, "Okay."
You're what now?
You're 19. Okay, I'm gonna leave. We can't get drinks legally together. I don't think we should be friends.
Yeah, one of my coworkers literally just turned 21 while we were in training.
Oh, wow.
And so we were making jokes about how we could legally take him to the bar now.
Hey, there we go. So that's what happened when I started my new job here. I went in, I'm just like, you know what? Work-wise, I'm just going to work. I'll be friendly and stuff, but I'm not gonna jump on the gossip thing. I want to restart everything,
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't tell my age for the longest time, and then it came up like probably 3 or 4 months after I started, and I found out that I'm older than my head teacher at the time, and I was like 3 or 4 years older than my other teacher, and they're all just like, "What?
You're so old."
What? And it's a strange feeling now, like, because my thing was, hold on, I got up from my chair. My thing was, since I always had, and this ties into high school fairly well, because my birthday was never celebrated during the school year, because it's always been in July.
Summer, yeah.
Well, and it always will be in July. I can't just change that shit.
Sure we can.
Yeah, okay. It's now February 7th.
Oh, come on. Why did you have to pick something in the dead of winter?
Because I'm in the dead of summer. I might as well do a complete 180.
Pick like a nice fall date or something.
That's true. I could do something October-ish. I think beginning of the October would be kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, I've never been able to celebrate it. So, now meeting people that I'm older than, because it always was I was the youngest, or yada yada. Now having that happen is very weird. It's almost a little bit surreal at some point, because you start to feel like you start to like acknowledge your age and acknowledge like how long you've been here on Earth, and like how wise you are and stuff. It's very weird.
Right, how much maybe more experience you have than some people, but at the same time, we're really not that old yet, so it's a good place to be.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we're definitely not that old at all. That's when I like think, 20, like we've been alive for 27 years, and that's been a long time. And then our life expectancy, is like late 80s. So there's
right,
still...
So you've got 2 more sets of that 27 years hopefully in there.
Yeah, and that is super nuts to think about. I do want to touch on this would not be the first time we met, but this would be, I think, when we found out we were locker buddies in 9th grade.
I vaguely remember the lockers.
In ninth grade, we were right next to each other.
Really? I remember them being near. I guess I don't remember them being right next to each other. No.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we were like reintroduced by, I was in my locker, and then the locker, because I think you were to the left of me, I'm pretty sure. That locker opened, and then you closed it, and then it was Short Joshua. Short Joshua was
Yep.
revealed. And we had a little joke because you had to rely on a little
Oh, yeah. I had that
thing at the
little,
bottom.
yeah, I had a wire fold-out shelf at the bottom of the locker because reaching the top locker was a real struggle.
Yeah,
for me.
you were short as fuck.
I was somewhere between like 4.5 and 5 feet tall freshman year of high school.
It was crazy. And then I think out of our friend group, I think I was one of the couple that grew faster, like height wise.
Yep.
And then everyone caught up with me like senior year, like my core friend group, like Dylan. At the time it was like Dylan, Nick, and you.
Mm-hmm.
Then everyone caught up and was either taller than me or like just my height, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was special.
No, yeah, I guess we're all pretty close to the same height.
Yeah, I think you might actually be a little taller than me, or that might be your hair.
It's probably the hair.
The hair adds 2 inches of volume.
Oh, absolutely it does.
My hair today, I woke up and I looked like fucking Rick from Rick and Morty. Just, oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, I remember that. That was really funny. And then I don't know if we mentioned it on this podcast, but as you mentioned earlier, we were in soccer together, and then we were really close because we spent a lot of time during the summer and summer training and in soccer together, and then it carried over later on after that first season because we were the only two. No, because we like got to know each other actually in ninth grade. So then what happened was we wanted to hang out with each other because both of our families were extremely Catholic.
And when you live in an extremely Catholic household, you have to go to church every Sunday. No exceptions.
Or Saturday in my family's case.
Right. They had a Saturday night one too as an alternative.
And for a kid who is questioning faith at the time he's in college, high school, along with numerous other things.
Everything that comes with puberty.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing to have a friend come over and then say, hey, we have to stop what we're doing because my family's going to church. It's incredibly embarrassing, which is why I always went over to other people's houses.
Mm-hmm. And then there was the issue, if you go over to somebody else's house, how are you going to get to church then? Are they going to take you?
Yep. And then you have to
they're not going to take me.
Yeah, yep. And then you have to go get the bulletin to show that you went to church. And
Patrick and I made a couple dashes at certain points where we'd just like walk in, grab bulletins, and leave.
And then fucking leave. That happened because once we both got our license, we would either be working or doing something on, Saturday night, and then they'd want us to go in the morning, which it's just ridiculous. And
right, it's like I have one day in the week to sleep in.
Yeah, and we would always meet up. I remember one time, I think it was one of the first times we were skipping. But we had to get the bulletin, so I'm driving to St. Pete's, and at first I was driving, I'm like, I'm kind of lost, I don't know how to get to St. Pete's, because if you're not familiar with that side of town, it's a little confusing, but not really when you think about it.
It's just not being used to it.
Yeah, and so I found it, I was on my way, and then this car was following me the whole time, and we both pull into the parking lot, and you pop out of your car, and you're like, oh, thank God. I was like, it looked like you know where you were going. I was like, I had no idea, and I ended up at St. Pete somehow, but Oh, that was funny, and that turned into a whole. But it was always fun if we both ended up skipping together without planning it in advance, because then we would hang out afterwards usually.
Yep.
So, so that was always a plus. But yeah, no, it was always so embarrassing, just having to take someone to church. It's just always like it was always a thing you had to mention before you sent out or asked someone. You just had to say, "Oh, by the way, we have to go to church," and then that usually stopped anyone from coming over.
Right. And not living in town, your weekends are your only time to have any sort of social experience with your peers outside of school.
Oh yeah, we both lived out of town. You even more so.
Yeah.
And oh, that was awful. I do remember the multiple phone calls or texts from you seeing if you can get a ride
Yep.
to go hang out with your girlfriend at the time, girlfriends.
Right. Because I like driving, it was almost 20 minutes into town. And so if I wanted to do anything, it would be I'd have to get somebody to like give me a ride. And that just, doesn't happen that often.
No, it doesn't. And I remember that. I don't know. Then there's like a lot of things in high school that I enjoy and miss. Obviously, there's the like no responsibility was super nice, but I just remember just I never was a fan of school. It never was I think a thing for me. To a degree, I think I was just so awkward and not knowing, like I didn't know, like you don't know who you are at all during high school, and then the people who always there were people that you always saw in high school that always just like looked so cool or were just graced with really good genes, and high school sucked. I don't care who you are, it sucked. But I think also a lot of people, they're like you mentioned earlier, their time is in high school and then that's it. They're kind of washed out or washed up afterwards, which I think is very sad. Especially when you like look at like some of the athletes in that in our like in our class.
I think some people just get, really comfortable and used to and just thrive in that atmosphere, and transitioning into adulthood is a real hurdle if you're not, fully prepared for it.
Right.
And everybody's obviously going to handle that a little bit differently, and yeah, I think that's where you end up with people who, like you said, kind of wash out, or even people who just kind of wander around for a bit to kind of find what they are, because that takes time.
Oh no, for sure. And I'm not shitting on that or anything at all, because it's definitely taken me like this long to figure out who I am. I'm still doing it.
Right?
It's awful. Being a human being is the worst.
That said, with all the extra responsibilities of adulthood, I will take adulthood over anything previous to it.
Oh yeah, I would definitely take on adulthood now over anything else, because just the sense of freedom is just higher. It's just better.
You do have so many more responsibilities, but with that you open up the opportunities for you to literally kind of work towards whatever you want and go do the things you want on the days you do, and spend your money the way you want and hang out with the people you want, and you're essentially in control of all of that.
It's really nice. It's funny too. I think this is. Oh, I'm just all over the place today. I'm also full of uhs and ums today.
I'm full of so many likes. I make a lot of mouth noises and likes, I've noticed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I personally have cut down a lot on that, on the uhs and ums and that. It's just really bad right now. I don't know why. Usually I take pride in carefully choosing my words when I'm not in a bleh state.
Mm-hmm.
But today, I don't know. I don't
All over
know.
the place. I felt I was a little bit better at having that good public speaking when we recorded for hours once a week or twice a week.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know if it's actually the case if I went back and looked at it now. But at the time, at least, it felt like I was pretty good at it.
I totally agree. And no, that was totally, see, I'm doing it again. I just can't, it's just today. Focus is not here.
Totally.
It's been a week, so bear with me. Again, I said, so guys, what I'm going to talk about.
Speaking of high school.
Yes. But I was replying to what you were just saying, and I totally just forgot what it was.
I'll come back to this then if you remember.
Okay. I don't remember, but so you just do what you were doing.
Okay. So with the whole high school theme, one of the most helpful classes I think we took was the public speaking one.
That and personal finance.
I never took personal finance. I wish I had.
Very good. It was very good.
I did pick up a lot of those things throughout high school just at home and stuff, but it would have been nice to take the class too. With the public speaking class, though, we had the one exercise that I remember was he had us speak on a topic off the cuff for 3 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it was. And every time you said or or some other interruptive word like that to pause yourself and think, you'd have the class, call you out and your timer would reset.
Oh, snap.
Right? And it really, really made you mindful of how often you would drop in those little words to stop yourself and bide your time instead of just pausing for silence. And that it's not something I've actively thought about, but you bring up high school, and that's one of those really helpful things that comes
helped
to
a
mind.
lot.
Yes.
When I think of high school like that, I just think of all the regret during that time. There was so much that I wanted to do and so much that I was into. And class-wise, I never was able to take it because of either just prior commitments such as sports or AP classes and dual enrollment really messed with your schedule to where you couldn't do certain things because AP classes or dual enrollment had to be at certain times, certain hours.
Yeah, they were not very flexible on that.
And that really sucked because art, the arts, especially in our school, were the first things to get cut. And the first time I ever felt a kinship with a teacher that wasn't a teacher I knew prior was when I took, I think it was sophomore year, and I think Mr. Beach did drawing and design. The first one, not advanced drawing and design. Or maybe Mr.
I think he did too.
Or did Mr. Zott do?
I know he did some of them as well.
Anyway, Mr. Beach, he was the first teacher I really vibed with. We still talk a bit now, 12, 13 years after the fact. He even came to my open house after he retired.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool because I was pretty good at, not to brag, pretty good at drawing and that at the time. And he really tried to, feed that and encourage that. But when I wanted to do after advanced drawing and design, which was the next class, which I think is what Zott taught, the following semester.
That could be.
I took that class to help further. I was trying to take all these art classes because I really enjoyed it. But once you wanted to take more and more or different art, like there was a sculpting one where you could work with sculpting actually, and I wanted to take that one so badly, and I never could because of the fact of AP classes just not switching or people just not willing to help you with switching classes. I just thought a lot of people in the guidance office at the time
We're just there to do their job.
weren't very helpful with that. Granted, there's a couple people who did work in the guidance office, like Mrs. Spadowski. Well, I don't think she's married anymore, but Miss Spadowski, Mr. Strom, and that who are pretty chill and help me out a lot. But no, you just classes. It's not like college where you can just drop out of the class and then enroll in another one if it fits, and it just that really sucked because I couldn't take any writing classes. I was big into writing and into drawing at the time. I was able to do mass media, which was really fun, but it also kind of it also planted the seed of doing things like mass media and that, like making videos, are only fun if everyone else involved wants to do it.
There.
And that really sucked because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to,
Create
have
something.
have this group that wanted to create with me and that, and rarely did I have that. Really, did I have that? Doesn't sound right, but there were a few, like the ones where with you, Nick and Dylan, that was kind of like my main squad for filming, because everyone I think just wanted to either hang out together or
Right, and it didn't really matter what we were doing.
yeah. A lot of cool things I think at that time were born through that kinship. Two things I can think of right now is flashlight tag. Flashlight tag was incredibly fun. The second thing, because I just thought about it and I forgot about it, and I think you might have too, is when we jumped out of a moving car, all of us.
Oh no, yeah, I remember that. For perspective, don't do this at home.
Yes.
We were filming. I can't remember what exactly we're filming or who had the bright idea, but we wanted an actiony shot of somebody, running and, well, not running, but jumping and, doing a cool roll out of the car.
Uh-huh.
So we had a minivan, and so they have the nice sliding doors that you can just open.
Yep.
I want to say Nick did it first.
I don't think it was Nick. I think it was you or Dylan.
I don't think it was me who did it first.
I don't think it wasn't your idea. I know that. And I want to say it probably was my idea, but I think I said it as a joke of maybe we could just, jump out of the car or whatever and get it on film or something. Because we were filming Mullet Man. That's what we were filming.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Nick was Mullet Man, and then you were wearing the blonde wig that made you look like your mom.
I just remember Nick trying to continue running after he jumped out.
Yeah.
And instead, his feet hit the ground and he just face planted.
And this car, did you mention how fast the car was going?
I think we were doing 15, 20.
I think we were doing 25 miles per hour.
I don't think it was 25, but 20 sounds right to me.
Okay, all right. I just remember, I'm pretty sure it was you who went first.
It could have been.
Because I remember filming the scene, behind the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and Nick saying something along the lines of I'm Mullet Man, and then you thought he was a creeper or something, and you had to get away from him, and so you jumped out of the door.
Right, the best alternative was to jump out of a moving vehicle.
And then since you did it and you were in some pain afterwards, we all thought, okay, if Joshua did it, then we all have to do it. That's what happened. We all have to do it. That's what happened.
Kids are real fucking dumb.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, if you think about it from like from the outside, like if we put it under a dome and step outside the dome and look in, I think that was quite a bonding thing, just saying,
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
if Joshua did it, then fuck it, we all have to do it. And I remember, I don't know how I went out. I just remember sliding on my back for what was maybe 10 feet. And I don't remember Dylan's at all. I want to say his might have been out of the trunk. I want to say that might have been a Dylan thing.
That sounds like something he would do. For the record, none of us were, hurt outside of, being a little sore.
Yeah, well, we didn't break anything. I'm surprised we didn't, because every time I picture someone jumping out of a car, I just picture them getting under it somehow. And
that's just you, like, finding the worst case scenario and everything.
I can't help it. It's what I do. But I remember that was really fun. I'm trying to think of. Do you have any other memories that stick out in high school?
I think we've touched on it before, but we did a fair number of airsofting at my house, and we would get cardboard boxes and duct tape, and we'd make like plate armor and shields.
That was so fun.
And we'd run around in the backyard and get my brother to come too, and we'd just like shoot each other with airsoft.
I do remember. That's how the whole bonus points meme started.
Yep, because we were behind that retaining wall to the back door in the basement.
Yep.
And we were hiding there, and yeah, that's how bonus points started.
Yeah, we don't have to elaborate anymore.
That's right. That's why I stopped short.
I do remember one time during an airsoft fight. It's when your family still had the orange dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What was the golden's name? Copper.
Copper.
We were back by the chicken coop. Is this story?
Yeah, I
Under
believe
the big oak tree.
Yeah, and for those of you, to set context, Joshua's family's backyard during the fall. No, I don't even think it was during the fall. At night in general is straight from The Conjuring. It's terrifying.
It's basically all forest and farmland.
Yep, and they have, like you said, this massive oak tree, and we're standing under it, and we're playing with his brother Caleb at the time, who is just a little gremlin in general, so you never know what he's going to do.
Oh yeah.
And we hear something, then we see something scurrying towards us and then away from us. So
Patrick screams
and just starts shooting it. And later we realized it was his dog, and it just looked like Smeagol just crawling on the ground, coming straight for you. It was terrifying, because I think we had helmets on with lights attached.
I think so too.
Or we had lights. I think you put a light on your shotgun because it was
all Left 4 Dead style. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember just seeing that it looked like one of the creatures from The Descent just crawling towards you, just wanting your soul. And then I shot at it, and then a couple weeks later, I bring up that moment in texting or something, and you reply with, "Yeah, we put that dog down like a couple of days ago," and
yeah, the dog was fine from that. She had some tumors at that point. She was pretty old.
I remember that. That was funny. God, yeah. Other than that, high school really. I think high school overall was just kind of. I don't know. Fair. I look back and I'm just kind of embarrassed, I guess. I do wish, though, as we touched on earlier, I wish that we lived in town, because I say that because a lot of our friend group, I think this is another reason why we hung out a lot, was our friend group, most, if not all of them, now that I'm thinking about it, lived in town.
Well, Nick didn't live in town, but they lived in another suburban area.
Yeah, and well, I mean, Dylan lived. So like our main group, like I mentioned, Dylan, you, Nick, and I think between us and like the rest of our core friend group, there was like almost a divide because everyone hung out with each other because they lived in town.
Right.
They gamed in that together because they had high speed internet.
Yep.
They had their own computers. They were just, so this divide I feel like kept forming because the four of us, at least you and I, weren't able to connect that way because it required having to come into town or to have good internet, to have a computer like they all had. And the four of us didn't have that, so I think the four of us bonded more due to that. Thinking about that now, I've never thought about that.
I would
now
agree with
until
that.
now. But I feel like that. I feel like that's how that happened. But I wish there was just a lot of things that I would have done or got into in high school. Like I wish I joined drama. I wish I would have done more clubs. I wish I would have discovered D&D way before now.
That would have been a really fun thing to have done when we were growing
in
up.
high school. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been just. I mean, you think about all the memories we've made, playing video games and hanging out and stuff. But I mean, those memories of. Remember when we conquered Strahd and beat like the Megadeth of Hell the other day?
Remember when we duplicated the watermelons 200 times?
In Oblivion and watched your game crash? That was pretty awesome.
And it was, but...
It was pretty sick. We played a lot of Oblivion. That's awesome. We played a lot of Gears of War.
Fair bit of Left 4 Dead.
I do remember Left 4 Dead memories when we got your sister to rent Left 4 Dead for us when we got Sarah to, and we were playing it, and your mom comes down and is sitting next to you while we're playing. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was so awkward, so
awkward.
weird.
She's like, "What is this?"
It's
nothing.
A game. Is that blood coming out? Did they just say a bad word? Oh, remember when I shouted "God damn it" once at your house?
Remember all the times Ashley has dropped the F-bomb at my house?
Oh yeah.
Granted, we've been adults for that, but still funny.
Oh, that's right. So, way to go, Ashley.
I know.
I haven't let a swear word slip at Sarah's parents yet.
Smart.
Granted, well, I don't. I like to sit back and observe when I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
They always call me. I find this very funny, and I'm surprised I haven't told you this. The amount of times I've been called politically correct, like...
Oh my gosh, you're telling me. My dad's wife has called me that a few times. She's like, "Oh, you're always so politically correct." Like, I just don't want to piss people off, is what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I mean, I also think part of it is both of us, not to toot our own horns, both of us being pretty mindful of who we're with and
having a little bit more restraint instead of just passionately expressing.
Right, and having like a general consensus, understanding of what's going on. It was so funny. Just you're sitting there and people are like, "Oh, so what do you think of like the?" Oh, well, I think it was about. I'm not going to touch on it, especially since this is being recorded. Not going to touch on the.
But yeah, just being able to put in a pretty neutral stance of I can see kind of both sides of that, and maybe it wasn't the best way to handle it, but.
So that's pretty funny. But any closing things about high school, Joshua?
I don't think so. High school was all right, but I'm glad it's in the past.
I am too. I'm still I think my one last thing that I'll mention before we leave is, we have to remember to do a rec of the day after this episode.
Is it going to be your favorite anime from last week? You
Oh
promised.
shit! I totally forgot about that. Was that what I was going to say?
It was.
Okay, I believe it's. I think it's called "The World Ends with You." I think that's the English translation.
The World Ends with You.
I'm pretty sure. Let me Google it real quick. Or maybe that's a. You know what? Anime with. Oh, it's from the New World. It's called. What's the Japanese title? Because that's the one I always like think of first when I'm trying to remember it.
Okay. It doesn't ring a bell for me.
So, from the New World is. I'll try to, summarize it without giving spoilers. It's okay. So the Japanese title is Shin Sekeyori, and I'm probably saying that wrong, or Shin Sekayori. I don't know. That's the Japanese because I watched it when it was subbed. I don't know if it's dubbed yet, but it's From the New World is the actual, dubbed title. This is my favorite anime of all time. It starts, and you don't really. It's basically 1,000 years after civilization. Something happened that I won't mention that caused all this, and it's focusing on this group of kids. But now that I think about it, I think it's kind of like it's very. I'm going to use a film reference here. It's like. I don't know if it's like the Buddhist way to a film approach. And the way I'm saying it like that is because I think it was the 80s. There were 2 movies made about the Vietnam War. One was, I think, Full Metal Jacket. One was The Thin Red Line. In Full Metal Jacket, I think it was Full Metal Jacket. It might be Platoon I'm thinking of. But anyway, one of those 2, I don't think it was Full Metal Jacket. I think it was Platoon. Platoon, I haven't seen Platoon. I've seen Full Metal Jacket. Anyway, the one that's not Thin Red Line was focused on the personal side of the war. So like it would focus on, characters that would die in the movie. So it was, more personal. The Thin Red Line approach, that's why I say, Buddhist approach is, and there's a film word for it I'm forgetting, is the Thin Red Line is showing war as just part of life. So you don't get attached to characters in that because people die. People die in war. Like when there's a war going on and we hear casualties in that, we don't think of Jeffrey Frank and Bill Adams and all, we don't think of that. We just say so many people died, but there's a disconnect from it because we're not part of it. And that's what,
Right.
Holy shit. Side note, somehow this squirrel that I'm looking at outside my window has just climbed 3 stories on a... How did you get up here?
They're crafty little bastards.
I'm going to see if I can take a picture real quick. Oh my god, he climbed up that whole black pipe. He was just sitting there like staring at me like, what are you doing talking to yourself? I'll send this to you so you can look at it.
All right.
But, yeah, what the fuck was I talking about before I went on that tangent?
We were just talking about your favorite anime as your rec.
Oh, yeah. Going back to that, holy shit. Sometimes I'm surprised, Joshua, we're still friends because the way I hold conversations sometimes surprises the
He's
fuck
very
out of me.
poor.
Yeah, it's
Don't worry, I have
ridiculous.
lots of practice with it.
It's ridiculous sometimes. It's so bad. But yeah, the squirrel I sent you was way at the top of the black pipe it's on.
Did you
when
Discord it to me or text it?
Oh, I texted it to you because I use my phone.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
But yeah, anyway, so the reason my story will make sense now because I believe Shinseki Yori from the New World, the anime, the story is like that. We're just literally going through this time. So like there's only so many episodes set, and we're just navigating through each episode. Like it's like you're sitting on a ride and you're just going, straight through. There's no focus on specific characters. They'll just pop up here and there. It's very whatever that word is for Buddhist filmmaking. I can't think of it. It's very like that. And there are key characters in that just pop up, but again, you're just like gliding through this whole story that unfolds, and it's really, really good. And if I keep talking about it, explain the plot even more, it's going to spoil it.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate, but I highly recommend checking it out. It's very moving, and it's very good, and it has many Fight Club-esque moments in it of, whoa, what the fuck, kind of thing.
I might have to watch it.
I might actually rewatch it now because it's beautiful. I love that anime. Anyway, I wanted to mention one last thing about high school is that for those of you who are like struggling in high school, just extremely uncomfortable, very unfortunate, whether that be because of acne, family situation, things like that. It does get better after high school, especially after high school. It gets a lot better. So to the class of 2020, it gets better. I think a famous person has said it gets better.
Are you famous?
Was their line. I am quoting someone famous. I'm far from famous. But yeah, I think that was like a line for like it gets better for people. I think that was like a suicide prevention line that people would do like in ads and that.
That probably sounds about right.
Was it gets better. So in poor taste, I said that as well. All right, this is the end of the podcast. We got to stop. I'm done.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yes, thank you everyone for listening. And there won't be a podcast next week because I will be on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
So FYI. But we are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. There's a thing, Joshua, I just remembered I've been meaning to talk to you about. We could talk about it afterwards real quick. I just remembered. Outside of that, have a fantastic day, everyone.